Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to give everyone a few more seconds to log in, and then we will jump into today's webinar. All right, so as we're waiting on a few more folks to join in, a quick little overview. My name is Prajakta Kulkarni. I am one of the assistant directors on the learner acquisition side here at Northeastern University. And with us today, we have Professor Ramin Mohammed, who is going to speak to us about the future of software engineering in an AI-driven world. And after his presentation, we will have some time for a short Q&A response. So if you have any questions that come up during the presentation, feel free to jot them down and then ask during the Q&A portion. And then after his presentation, we will talk a little bit more about our MS-DAE and MS-IS programs and how to fill out that application. But with that being said, I'm going to pass it over to Professor Ramin, and he will kick us off. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Prajakta. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Ramin Mohammadi, and today we will be exploring the future of software engineering in an AI-driven world. Over the next 15 to 20 minutes, I will provide insight into how AI is reshaping the engineering landscape and what skills and tools will be essential for navigating these challenges. So to just give some introduction about me, I've been in industry since 2015. I got my PhD from Northeastern in 2020. And I have been also developing and teaching AI-related courses since 2020. So I currently basically lead an AI initiative at Tausight, where my work basically involves in creating advanced AI models to protect healthcare data. Alongside with my industry work, I'm an adjunct professor at Northeastern University, where I have had the opportunity of opportunity to develop and teach courses like machine learning, MLOps, generative AI, and NLP. Let's start with a bit of context. AI is dramatically reshaping software engineering, impacting everything from code development to deployment. Our objective today is to look at how to adapt to this AI-driven environment, focusing on new roles, crucial skills, and real-world challenges that engineers are facing. We will also examine how these changes bring both opportunities and obstacles. So let's get ready and take a look at what we have. So one of the major shifts we are seeing in the convergence of AI and software engineering is let's start with like an AI as code developer. So and then some of you might probably have worked with it or not, or some of you might be new to the field, but AI is increasingly acting as a code developer with tools that can help you assist you in coding, debugging, and even optimizing your softwares. And machine learning, or ML, basically, is also becoming an integrated part into software pipelines, which brings us to MLOps, a practice that automates the model lifecycle from deployment, monitoring, and retraining. Lastly, these advancements are redefining roles, pushing engineers to develop interdisciplinary skills that bridge traditional software with data and AI expertise. To thrive in this evolving field, engineers basically need to have some essential skills. First, understanding the basic of machine learning is now crucial, even for those who don't specialize in it. Second, NLP, or natural language processing, is enhancing user interaction, making applications smarter and more responsive, while generative AI creates new opportunities for content automation. And finally, MLOps. MLOps is MLOps expertise is a key to ensures that we can efficiently manage models in production, covering everything from CI/CD to monitoring and scaling our pipelines. Of course, with this advancement, there are always some unique challenges, especially engineering challenges here. First, by default, machine learning pipelines are underestimated. You normally spend maximum 5 to 10% of the time developing models, and the rest of the time goes to other components like data, deployment, monitoring, and retraining. A good ML engineer needs to be a good software engineer by default in order to be able to work on all these pieces. And then it comes to data pipelines and data quality. Ensuring high quality, scalable, and secure data pipeline is a key to supporting AI in prediction, because one of the realities of the world is that the world is not constant. The world will always change, and your data also will change. And you need to be able to detect this data changes or drifts early enough to basically avoid downstream problems or basically late detection. And also, model-driven developments also present its own challenges. We need strategies for handling model drift. Model drift basically is a strategy that, when you develop a model, your model basically work well for some period of time, and as you deploy to new environments or new data comes in, your model performance goes down. And in order to avoid your model to become basically have a full drift, or basically the accuracy drops by a large amount, you basically need to have some sort of like a retraining pipeline to detect this drift early enough that you can basically improve your model as it goes forward. Now, finally, and this is something that's this stage is really important, is ethical consideration. Basically, ethical considerations are paramount, ensuring that we have transparency, avoiding bias, and building trustworthy AI system are responsibility that basically any engineers must prioritize these days. Now, there are some always emerging trends and future opportunities in AI, but we want to also understand that what are these trends and how AI could also help us with these opportunities. We're going to start with something called explainable AI. With explainable AI, engineers basically make complex models more interpretable. And that allows us to basically to gain more trust from user, and also have a better understanding of the models. Previously, the way that we were looking at models, or basically AI models, were like as some sort of like a black box, that they are not explainable. We don't know what's happening in those. But in the field of explainable AI, we will focus on picking those models and make them more explainable, so you can understand what's happening in these models. And then tools like GitHub Copilot or ChatGPT Code Interpreter are changing how engineers write and review their codes these days. It's just these are going to be additional, basically, advancement that we gain with AI or generative AI. And also, AI isn't just limited to software. It's expanding into hardware, embedded system, and edge computing. It's opening a new, basically, career paths. And this is an example here that what you can see is that is a self-driving car that basically we pick an AI model, and we basically deploy this AI model on an embedded device on this, within these cars or within these vehicles. As we wrap up here, there are some practical steps for anyone here that's looking to enter to this field. And first one is that, to build a strong foundation by focusing on courses or certification in AI principles, machine learning, and MLOps. It's basically important. Second, stay up to date with on industry trends by following relevant resources and communities. And finally, nothing beats on hands-on experience. Engage in projects, contribute to GitHubs, or even participate in some sort of open source innovative to sharpen your skills in real-world applications. And thanks for listening, and I'm open for any questions.
If you do have questions, feel free to drop them into the Q&A portion, or you can come off of mute and ask your question.
Projecta, do you want me to go over the questions? Or...
I see a few questions popping up into the chat. Yeah. So if it's easier, I can ask the question and you can answer.
No, I can look at this one. So this question says that about the format of the exams. I'm not quite sure.
Feel free to pick the questions that are most relevant to you, and then Projecta and I can come back to the others after.
Sure. So Khan basically says that, do you have any additional suggestion for ML? If you're asking that, if it's such suggestion for learning ML, if that's the case, yes. So there are some courses that being offered, for example, in the program, statistical learning, data mining, which they are focusing on machine learning in different perspectives. So those courses, that always gives you the preliminary knowledge necessary to basically go to more advanced courses like generative AI or natural language processing. There is a question here says, can you share examples of AI augmented dev tools? Can you clarify by dev tools? Do you mean tools that are being like for like DevOps or CI/CDs? I think this is a question from Jagdish Parikh.
Software development tools, it says.
All right. So yes, so MLOps actually it's a good talking point for regarding to that. So as we develop machine learning models need to be deployed. This deployment basically means that you need to have a pipeline for data, from data gathering to data training, data cleaning, model training, model development, deployment, and monitoring. So currently, what we know from software is that software evolved after development of concept of CI/CD, but they haven't been such a CI/CD for machine learning. And as we evolve and we have more MLOps, these tools like Gen AI or basically MLOps tools, they can help you to improve the pipelines that you have. One scenario of that could be that you could use, for example, Copilot to help you to write, I don't know, like test cases for, CI part of your pipeline, or you could basically even use Copilot to write code for you for the development part or deployment part of your pipeline. So there are tools out there that already do this. And example of it, again, is the GitHub Copilot, for example, has something like that. And there's a question, how advanced is AI at this moment? I mean, it's pretty advanced. It will get better and better. So as we all know, that 2023 and 2024 were the years that AI got the attention, and that's mainly was because some publicly available tools like ChatGPT made everyone like, wow, there are lots we can do with AI, but as we basically go to next couple of years, I think we're going to see much more interesting tools out there, or basically concepts. Which AI toolbox are you using? So I don't previously use, I don't use AI toolbox per se. Basically, is a combination from MLflow, Airflow, Kubernetes. So like for different components of your pipeline, you basically have a different toolbox. It's different depending on what you're using. What languages you would advise use experienced designer to start with? Overall, the world of machine learning and AI, it's working with Python in reality. And the reason for that is that Python is much easier for the community. Everyone are more like a Python user, that they basically write the libraries or the toolkits in Python language. And the question is that, can you please tell me the Gen AI resources or platforms to enhance our skills? And platform to enhance our skills. If you are basically asking that how to use Gen AI to improve your skills, like I think ChatGPT is one of those tools that you can use. If you know how to basically prompt it properly, how to ask the question properly, it can help you. It basically also can teach you new concepts. There is another tool like that's called Perplexity, which basically helps you to similar to when you, for example, when you go on Google, you ask a question, you get so many answers. But if you go on Perplexity and ask a question, it gives you one unique answer, the best answer for the questions that you have. And what are the necessities for someone who wants to learn machine learning? As someone who has been teaching machine learning, I will tell you that linear algebra. It's necessity. You need linear algebra in the field of machine learning. Some questions here. As quality engineers in medical device industry, which AI tool would you suggest me to learn? Quality engineer. So if your job as quality engineers is to write series of test codes, it's basically if you learn how to do a proper prompt basically engineering, then you can basically prompt the AI to help to write you the test codes that you need. Always need to remember the concept of the privacy if you work with the tools like that. And if you work in a company and you want to use tools like generative AIs, you need to be sure that the question that you're asking does not reveal any IP for the company that you are working at. That's always really important, because these generative AI tools, they actually memorize the questions that you're asking, and that data at some point will become publicly available. What are the fields that are currently using machine learning and the scope of ML machine learning in future? At this point, we have machine learning in almost in every field. The only field that is kind of hesitant in using machine learning, it's medical fields, and that's not because the machine learning is not advanced enough to enter the medical field. It's just when we deal with tasks like human lives, it's we don't want to use machine learning to make a decision. So basically, one approach that some clinicians are doing is that they use AI as some sort of like augmented answer. So AI provides an answer, and the clinician look at the answer, and at the end they make their own call. So but so far, I mean, most of the fields from music industry to defense, they all have some sort of machine learning in the field. What resources do you recommend to stay up to date? What's going on in AI ML world? I mean, there are podcasts out there, for example, that you can listen to. The communities, but one of the podcasts that I personally listen to is called Practical AI. It's on, probably you can find it on Spotify. It also has a website, Practical AI. I found it really interesting. It's actually a good friend of mine also. It covers lots of new topics. And the question here is that for Baruch, the implementation of AI introduces ethical challenges around data privacy, transparency, and fairness. Professionals working with AI must navigate these concerns to maintain trust with the customers, client, or stakeholders. What measures are currently taken to mitigate these challenges? That's actually a really great question. And so one of the problems that we have in AI, as you mentioned, is the data privacy. Data privacy could be anywhere from when you develop a model, for example, you want to be sure that your model does not see any sensitive data or PIIs or like any identifiables, because most of the models that they do see this information, if a bad actor has access to the model, they can do reverse engineering, as called, like for example, membership inference. They can find out whose data was part of the model. So you need to be sure that there are a series of practices that or technique that you can use to avoid your model from memorizing the data. And other part is like the transparency. In order to be sure that your model is transparent, you need to be, there are certain series of models that the way that the algorithm is, they are not transparent. And so a series of models that they are transparent. So depending on the application that you want to work on, is transparency important or not, you kind of know which direction you need to go, which set of models you can use. And the concept of fairness, in order to be sure that your model is fair, there are a series of tests that you can run after the model is developed. A simple example is that, for example, you want to see that if your model provides a fair answer for a gender, like a male versus female, what you do is that you run, after you develop a model, you run a series of tests on data for male versus data for female. And the expectation is that your models should provide same performance or basically some efficacy results for both groups. If you see one group has an advancement to the other groups, that means your model is not fair toward certain group or has some bias, basically. And we have a question here. Do you have any observation comments using Cursor, the AI code editor for software development? I have not personally worked with that, so I really cannot answer to that one. But I assume that that's something similar to what Microsoft provides, what GitHub Copilot provides, or what ChatGPT provides. These are kind of doing the same concept for code editor. And the question we have here is that how do you describe the difference between machine learning engineer, a data scientist, and data analyst specialist? And how much AI replacing the core job duties of each of these roles? So two really good questions. So I can summarize it this way. Let's just start with backward, like data analytics first, data analytics specialist. So data analytics is someone that your goal, at least the way that I have seen it in industry, is that you're mainly focusing on querying certain amount of data and run series of statistical tests on the data, find meaningful insight in the data and report those insights basically to stakeholders or whoever basically is necessary. That's overall the data analytics. The analytics, they need to be really good with query languages because they always deal with the databases, and they need to be really good also with the statistical basically tests. On the other end, we go to data scientists. It's one level beyond the data analytics. So they do have the same knowledge over the query languages, but data scientists basically work a lot with manipulating data and building models over those manipulations. So you have a data, you do some research, you find some, like you have some, like let's say, prior knowledge about the problem that you're solving. You use that prior knowledge, build new set of features or information over your data. And you use that new data set that you have to build some sort of predictive modeling. That's a data scientist. On the other end, when you go to machine learning engineers, your responsibility is far beyond the other two, because in order to be a machine learning engineer, you need to be a data scientist by core and be a software engineer. Why? Because any company that hires you as machine learning engineers, they expect you to do everything together. That means you have a data, or you have a data science team that they provide you the transform data, or you need to do it yourself and then develop a model on that. On top of that, after you develop the model, which I basically pointed out here in these slides, the black box as you see here, that development of the model is mainly 5% of the time, 10%, because the amount of model that you can test out, they are really limited. Most of the time goes to other pieces here, and an ML engineer is someone who need to know every piece in this basically image. You need to basically be able to put all of this together. Data scientists, they don't do that. Data scientists, they only work around maybe a data collection, feature extraction, and ML code. And anything after the ML code, it goes to ML engineers. But overall, if you're an ML engineer, you basically need to work on all these pieces. Now, the second question was that how much AI replacing the core job duties of each of these roles. I personally use AI a lot at work, okay? And if you know how to use it, it helps you a lot with writing series of codes, and it basically speeds up the process that you have. That means that I'm trying to write something, build some function. This function has series of functionalities. Some of these functionalities with and I want to use, for example, ChatGPT. And I will basically ask ChatGPT, give me a structure of such code. I don't tell ChatGPT, give me the code to do what, because those are the secret, or so the IP of the company. But I, for example, ask ChatGPT, I want to write such a code, give me the structure of this code. So it basically provides you the template of everything, and you fill those templates. So that definitely speeds up the process. At least the way that I have been working with it, I get about 30–40% improvement in delivery time that we have in our projects, because it makes it much faster. That doesn't mean that AI is going to replace somebody here, or it is going to improve it. The way that we need to look at AI is that, especially generative AI, is that it is there and it's going to be there and it's going to get better. Right? Now we need to basically learn how to use it as we progress, not we try to basically, we shouldn't be worried about that it's going to replace anybody. Just we should ideas that it's going to improve, my life or improve my job. All right, I think I tried to answer every questions.
I think you did. I think you got through all of them. So thank you so much for your time and
right.
expertise on that. It was fascinating.
Of course.
So we really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks everyone for listening, and I hope you got a great meeting. Thank
We
you.
did. It was wonderful. So thank you. So we're going to switch over now, and Project is going to go ahead and share her screen. And we're going to talk a little bit about the program. So if you're interested in what Professor Ramin was talking about, and want to know, wow, how can I study with him or under him or on these topics, we're going to talk a little bit about how you can do that here at Northeastern. So if you want to go to the next one for me, Projecta. Perfect. So just some familiar faces. So when you're hearing us talk or reaching out to us about the program, who might be supporting you. So on the left there, you have Lauren Redmond and myself. We work with learners primarily once they're in the program. So once you've decided, I'm going to come and join this program, we work with you to make sure that the program is successful. Lauren works with our faculty to make sure that our courses are staying in tune with industry needs, right? And ever-changing needs, as the professor was talking about. And then I serve as your main point of contact. So any question that you have, you can come to me, and if I don't know the answer, I will help you find it. Tyler and Projecta also work on the Northeastern team, and they work on the learner acquisition or admission side. So they'll be your go-to people when you're going through the application process, which is really quick and easy. And we're going to talk about that in a few more slides. And then we have our wonderful colleague, Tom, on here. He partners and oversees our programs at Northeastern, but he works with Coursera. So if you have any questions about these programs, other programs, the Coursera platform, he'll be your go-to person. And he holds a lot of office hours where he can answer some of those initial questions. And we'll show you how to sign up for those as we go on. So the two programs that we're talking about here are online MS in Data Analytics in Engineering and an online Masters of Science in Information Systems. So both of these programs come out of the College of Engineering. Both are Masters of Sciences, and both are done online. So I want to make that clear about these programs. A question that comes up a lot from learners is, oof, it's an online program. Is my diploma going to say that I did an online program? It will not, so I want to say that up front. Your diploma will just say that you earned a Master's of Science in whichever field you did. So they won't know the modality that you took. The programs are both in the College of Engineering, but when we think of career outcomes and career opportunities, they vary a little bit, of course. So these are just sample careers that you might go into within these fields. So you'll see for data analytics engineering, maybe a data scientist or data analyst or machine learning engineer, which are ones that Ramin was talking about. Also might look at database administration or database architecture. For the information systems, you might be that software engineer, so the person who's doing the nitty gritty, or you might go into more of the management side, so the information systems manager. So there's a variety there, whether you want to be very, very technical or understand the technical and see it from a larger picture. What I want to note about the career opportunities for these programs, as both of these fields are growing. So both of these fields, data analytics engineering and information systems, are expected to grow by 16% by 2031. So that's why we think these programs are really important, because they're meeting an industry need, particularly for adult learners, career changers, professionals who maybe want to further their education. What does the program cost? So we really aim to keep the cost low for a quality degree here. So students currently pay $3,000 per 4-credit hour course. All of the courses are 4 credits for these programs. You take 8 courses, so 8 times 3,000 means it'll be $24,000 for your degree from start to finish. And what does the time to degree look like? How quickly can you move through? Learners can move through as quickly as 16 months, which is 4 terms, or as long as 32 months, which is 8 terms. So a learner could do 2 classes per term and then be done in 4, or you can spread it out and do 1 course per term and take up to 8 terms to do so. Our terms are full semester terms, so fall, spring, and summer. And summer is a full 14-week term there. Of course, we have learners all the time who fall somewhere in between the 16 to 32 months. Maybe you need a break because life happens. Maybe you start with one course and then you decide you want to ramp up to two. Maybe you have an employer who's helping you fund your degree and you want to take advantage of that funding opportunity and it's capped on a calendar year. So whatever you decide for you, we can make the program work for your needs as fast or slow as you want to move through the program. I'm going to turn it over to Projecta.
Thanks, Katie. So now let's talk about the admissions pathways and what you need to submit your application. So we have two different options for you. The first being the FASTAP performance-based admissions pathway, which is what we are going to talk to you about here shortly. And then the second being the more traditional graduate application. So the FASTAP and how do you join it? So you can submit your FASTAP for either the MSDAE or the MSIS. The FASTAP will ask you to fill out some basic information. So we're talking your name, your contact info, and what your bachelor's degree is in. Once you submit your FASTAP, Northeastern will then start creating your student account, which includes your Northeastern ID number and your Northeastern email. Once your Northeastern credentials are created, we will send you an email within 24 to 72 hours of you submitting your FASTAP with a link where you can choose which PBA courses you want to take and an option to pay your deposit. After completing the enrollment form and paying your deposit, you will be considered to be a full Northeastern student and you will be registered for your PBA courses. You can sign up for either one course for spring or you can take 2 classes for spring. But keep in mind, you do need to earn a B or better in both of your PBA courses in order to matriculate into the full degree program at the start of the next available term. And as I mentioned, for that step 2 where you can enroll in your courses, again, you can take 1 class or 2 based on what you have going on in your personal life as well as your work life. So what happens if you don't have tech experience? Well, you'll be happy to hear that you can still complete your FASTAP. You can still sign up for your classes for spring 2025. You will need to pay that $399 deposit. The main thing here that we would highly recommend is that you review or brush up on the skills that are offered via Coursera on the open content courses as preparation for your pathway courses when you to start in spring 2025. If you have questions about this or just not sure if, this is the right step for you, definitely send us an email. You can email us at engineering-fastap@northeastern.edu. Text in your questions to us at 617-344-9988. Or you can sign up for to speak to an enrollment counselor from the Coursera side to kind of walk you through what our program is, what the open content courses are, and you can brush up on some of those skills there. So what are your next steps? So if all of this sounds really interesting and you're super excited to start for spring 2025, just as a heads up, we do have 2 more webinars in December. One is going to be an info session for the MSDAE and one is going to be an info session for MSIS. We will have some currently enrolled students as student panelists at both of those webinars. So if you want to hear from a current student who is taking the classes, get their perspective on things in the program, definitely sign up for that. They will be happening Tuesday, December 3rd, 11 a.m. Eastern for MSDAE, and then Tuesday, December 3rd at noon for MSIS. If you are ready to submit your FASTAP, wonderful. You can do that via our website, and we can drop that link here shortly. Additionally, I did want to point out that we do currently have a priority deadline scholarship available. So if you submit your FASTAP and pay your deposit by Friday, November 22nd, you will receive a 10% scholarship for your first semester enrolled in spring 2025. However, that is not, if you can't make that November 22nd deadline, our final deadline is December 15th in order to give you enough time to sign up for your classes to start January 6th. Additionally, you can see our email here, engineering-fastap@northeastern.edu. You also see 2 QR codes. One is for the DAE program and the second is for MSIS. So if you would like to schedule a call to talk about either of our programs, scan that QR code and schedule an appointment with Tom from the Coursera side to kind of walk you through what the DAE program is, what the MSIS program is this the best program for you? But we do have some time left here in our webinar, so if you do have questions, I believe the Q&A feature should be available, so feel free to drop in your questions and we will be happy to answer them.
Someone asked if there's certificate programs. There aren't currently certificate programs for these 2 degrees. However, for MSDAE, we hope to have a certificate live by fall of 2025. So you'd have to hang on a little bit longer there, but that's in the works at the moment. And how can you get access to the FAST app? Projecta can throw that in the chat in a minute because I know she keeps that link handy. So
Yep, just give me 1 second.
yeah. And the last question, if someone has a strong potential but can't afford to pay for the application, admission, or tuition, does the institution consider them? Unfortunately, not for our online programs at the moment. Those are fully funded by the individual. If you wanted to be considered for more scholarship, merit-based financial aids, these programs are both offered in the residential form at a few of the global campuses. So you would want to apply to the residential programs.
Perfect. And I did just want to point out that I dropped in the FastApp link in the chat, so feel free to copy and paste that, and you should be able to submit your FastApp within the next 5 minutes.
I see a learner who said you have a bachelor's in electrical engineering from Mexico. Would that make me eligible to take the courses? Yes. So the way it works is since they're performance-based, if you're going to apply as a performance-based learner, which most of our learners do, you'll take your 2 first courses, the PBA, the performance-based classes, and then we'll request your transcript showing that you have a bachelor's degree. So as long as your bachelor's degree from Mexico is equivalent to a 4-year US degree, which typically it is, we haven't run into too many problems with that so far, then yes, that you would be eligible. So, and that's for all learners, whether your bachelor's is domestic or international, you will go ahead and provide that transcript showing your bachelor's degree after you've taken your 2 performance-based classes. Sorry, I'm looking here. Do we have international students enrolled in MSIS? Yes, we have international students in MSIS and MSDAE. So we have a mix of learners from across the globe. So yeah, learners from all over. It's great. Program available for students from Middle East countries such as Iraq, for example. It is available for students in Middle Eastern countries with a few exceptions. I have to find the list of those few exceptions. So I'm going to let me take your name down here and I can follow up with you because I don't want to misspeak on the countries that are not allowed to participate in the degree. So I am writing your name down as we speak so I can follow up on that. But the majority of countries, yes.
All right, we have a question.
Oh, go ahead, Projecta. Nope, go ahead.
One of the questions is, does it require recommendation letters at some point with the performance-based application? You'll be happy to hear the answer is no. If you are to do this PBA FastApp, basically the way it works is you are going to take your first 2 classes. You will, as long as you get a B or better in both of those classes, you can matriculate into the full degree program and you will not be required to submit recommendation letters. If you are inclined to do the traditional application, that route does require letters of recommendation. So with the PBA process, we're trying to mitigate some of the barriers that some of our learners might face, and letters of recommendation could be one of them. So to answer your question in a long way, the answer is no, we do not require letters of recommendation.
Northeastern does have bachelor's programs, but we do not have them in the online format at the moment. So if you're considering a bachelor's program, do check out Northeastern, but those are more residential, but there are global campuses, Seattle, Silicon Valley, Vancouver, Boston. So there's a variety of them. No, at the moment, students don't take electives across programs. So if you decide MSIS is for you, you would take those courses. MSDA, you would take those courses. And happy if you reach out to the email on the screen. We do have sample syllabi for the courses where you can kind of look a little further into what content area might fit your interests and your career interests. You'll have great questions. Give it one more minute to see if any more pop in there. Well, we appreciate you joining us today and learning from the professor. I know his talk was inspiring to me, and then hearing a little bit about our programs. Of course, we can put those QR codes back on the screen for one more second there, and the links are now in the chat. So if you want to schedule with Tom, if you want to join us on December 3rd for either programs, we look forward to hearing from you and hopefully joining our programs. So have a wonderful day.